You know, every designer has to have a starting place, a jumping off place. Have you decided yet what kind of a jewelry designer you are? What's your background? What do you like? You know, I started my business life as an antiques dealer. And for many years, I dealt in antique jewelry. And that's where I got my starting place because I loved that jewelry. I still do. That's the style I like. And I wanted to make jewelry like vintage jewelry. So how would I do that? Who was going to teach me how? There wasn't anybody. There were no books written about it back then. There was nothing except for the beautiful coffee table books that started showing up on the bookstore shelves that showed the beautiful pictures of the wonderful pieces, some of which I had even handled. But it talked about them. It talked about the makers. It talked about the process. So in the 15 minutes that we have allotted to us at YouTube today, I'm going to attempt to show you some of my favorite books and encourage you to get them on interlibrary loan. Go to Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, whatever. Pick up a copy here and there. Develop a store of books for yourself. If you want to create in the vintage style, there is no better way than handling the pieces, if you can, or looking at a book. So, Rob's going to come over here and look over my shoulder, and we're going to show you some of my favorites and why they're my favorites. This book is by my friend Ann Mitchell Pittman, Inside the Jewelry Box. And in fact, she has a couple of volumes out, but I like this one because it shows a lot of pieces that are made, I'll say, second half of the 20th century. And they are pieces that, in feeling, you could recreate. Some of the pieces in Ann's book that I really like are, for example, this piece with big beads and rope chain. And in fact, you see this little twig here? We carry this. This is probably a cast piece, but they've attached, I think, drilled through it and hung stuff and then put a pin back on that. Why couldn't you do that? You could. Beads like this are available, and we carry this twig. Another thing that I liked in Ann's book were these little pin bracelets and stuff like that that people had made. Ann shows some pieces in here that are made by folks who've taken vintage components. She's put them with the antique pieces. On this page, there are, for example, this piece looks like a lot of the necklaces we've been creating. This is a German button cab right in the center here, and just a flower power piece. Why couldn't you create something like that? And I think that would be 5 and dime. Also, guilloche enamels. Now, I have just virtually none to offer anymore, but at one time I had the most unbelievable stash of guilloche enamels. Some people call them Dresden enamels. I have. They're on hard glass fired enamel, hand-painted rose, sealed over. Lisa Lensner has used a lot of these in her charm bracelets, and most of them she got from me, I believe. But they're wonderful things if you can find them. If not, you can recreate this look with paint yourself. This is just a style of toll painting. So if you know some toll strokes, you can create this rose very easily if you have some good brushes. Anyway, moving on. This book, Popular Jewelry 1840 to 1940 by Roseanne Edgar. I am not sure if this is still in print, but I used this book so much when I was learning to make jewelry. And one of the things I like about this book, for example, which shows a lot of antique pieces, this piece in the corner here is something you could make today easily. But also, there are some pieces in here shown that you still can get the pieces. I mean, we carry them, the parts. Oh, here's one. Here's Ophelia. Do you recognize her? Margot Horowitz used her in a design for us a couple of times that she put on her page. This lady here is French. I had quite a number of these pieces at one time. They are very valuable. I have sold the last one that I'm going to sell. But this is a French piece. And I have one left, and I may make molds at some time so that ones can recreate them maybe in resin or clay. But she's quite wonderful too. But this book shows a lot of bohemian work. And you may want to get hold of it because the work is simple and straightforward, and you can learn a lot from it. I once had this set. This is not the set that I own, but I once had this set. So you'll enjoy it if you can get hold of a copy. It'll really help you to get a bead on the old bohemian looks. Another one that I really like is Unsigned Beauties of Costume Jewelry, and this is by my friend Marcia Sparkles Brown, and I think it was done in 2000. I have a signed copy, as you can see there. I think it was done in, published in 2000. So she has a lot of Juliana pieces in here, which have since been identified. But just to show you, you see this piece made on wire here? Now, why couldn't you recreate something like that? I have done things like that. It's not that hard. Some other things, this is beautiful. This would probably be made in Japan type piece. This is not Haskell, but it's in the Haskell spirit. It looks like something I'd make, that's for sure. Why couldn't you do that? Look at this, bobbly beauty. Just beaded sections. Just beaded sections and put together. This one has a toggle clasp. How unique, because that's normally a newer type clasp. But that's awesome. Another one I had marked in here. Oh my, we have to go fast. Oh, here's another one. This is probably a Juliana, looking at how the back is put together. You kind of get a feeling for it. But that's something you could do too. Just beads, and stones put together like that. Isn't that neat? I've had these earrings before. You can still make this. These parts are available. This is a great book if you can find a copy. Now, going on. Julia Carroll. She has costume jewelry 101, 202, and 303. Now, unfortunately, for some reason on my shelf I have 2 copies of 202, and I can't find my 101, which I think Jordan has somewhere. But you need these books. If you buy any books, buy 101, buy 202, buy 303. Because they're just full. This one has 6 methods for dating costume jewelry that are invaluable. Julia's books are just a wealth of knowledge, and you can see the way she writes. She does it with a pure heart and no agenda except to educate you. So you can learn so much from her books. I'm not sure why I have this marked, but I just have to see real quick. There's probably something in here. Oh yeah, this piece. This piece on here. See that? This is still made, and we carry it from time to time. Just to show you how far back these stampings that we sell go. There you go. That's made into a piece of jewelry. We still carry it. And in fact, in the Popular Jewelry book, there's a bunch of pieces that are still made and that we carry. Great books. This one has a fascinating story on Sandra Goldberger, which Harry Wood mentioned the other day in our discussion tab. And I was kind of surprised because I thought, who knows who that is? But Harry's been reading. If you read Julia's book, 303, you will find all about this fascinating man and his enterprise. Also, to show you that the jewelry making profession is not a bit new, Julia addresses this in this book. She shows old catalog pages from the Grieger and Gemex catalogs where people would buy these mounts, see, like my Mona, and they would mount them into a mount, which you can still do today. And for example, just on this page alone, I can tell you what is still made. All these kitty cats are still made. They can still be purchased. Some of these pansies are still made. These doggies are still made. But see, people have been setting stones for a long time. Now me, I kind of don't want to just set a stone. That's nice. It's a nice place to start. But I would like, on a pin like this, I wouldn't be satisfied until I'd beat it all around that. And hung a bunch of stuff on the bottom of it. Then it'd be a bisou. So think about that. But it's a good place to start. You're going to want to read this and read about how people used to do this. So it's a good book. Another one, Costume Jewelry Great Pretenders. This is an old standard for those who have been in the antique jewelry trade. I think it was published in '87. But here I marked it because, what do you think? Does that look like something you could make? I think you could. A lot of people are making jewelry like this, but guess who made this one? This is a Miriam Haskell piece. How about that? So you might enjoy reading this. You could probably easily get this from Interlibrary Loan. I don't think it'd be hard. It's been out for a long, long time. Another one is, this one's a little harder to find, Carol Tannenbaum. I think she's from Canada. Fabulous Fakes. There are some unbelievable pictures in here. In fact, of some Sandra Goldberger pieces. Let me see if I have this marked right so we can go right to it. Well, now let's start with this one. These are beautiful check pieces. But we can make things like this today with our paints and flowers and stones. Isn't that gorgeous when you love to have those? And also, these are picture brooches where people have taken little stampings and things and manipulated them, made little scenes. These are really quite valuable nowadays. I have one brooch that's something like this, and I've had pins like this. Some of them were made by Coro, but she says here these are unsigned. But some of them are quite valuable nowadays. These are the Sander Goldberger. Now, most of the Sander brooches that I've seen have been simple open flower power brooches and not worth a whole lot of money. These are exceptional. Could you get your colorization skills up to this level? I think you could with the products that we have now. But this is a great book. Also, some Kate Marion Haskell, all Marion Haskell signature pieces. Cage pieces. These, I wanted to show you this piece. You see this piece here? These are Amarel brooches. And they have similarities to Haskell because Frank Hess was somehow involved with this company. But this piece here we carry, this filigree, still made today, as are many of the Haskell findings. And we do carry a lot of them in the Russian gold-plated finish, or what they call gilt. So, and on these painted bangles, why couldn't you do that? Another one, Jackie Raymond's Classic American Costume Jewelry. Fabulous book if you're looking for pictures for inspiration. And I just have to show you this page because this is my darling Lucille that I love, who was a mentor to me for so long and for so many of us in this trade. And the necklace that she's wearing is a necklace of hearts that members of the VFCJ Club made and gave to her. And she's just precious. And she's watching all of us and watching what we're doing, staying quiet, but she is very interested to this day. This book is great. Get one. That's all I can say about that. This book shows a lot of lower-end jewelry that will give you some ideas for 5 and dime. I'm not as impressed with it, except just for ideas for 5 and dime. It'd be really good. The values, I'm sure the price values are off. They're just really way, way high. A lot of the jewelry can be found in flea markets. It's not intimidating, but it's very lively and upbeat, and it's got a lot of great pictures, so it's worth having a look at. Another one, Warman's. Now, this is not the newest edition. This is the last one, I think, that Christy Romero edited, and unfortunately, Christy has passed away, and I think that Kathy Flood is editing it now. You must, if you want to learn about antique jewelry, you must have a Warman's, and they come out with a new one every couple of years. But I wanted to show you in this. This is a Schiaparelli piece. I don't know, Rob, can you get in there? These pieces all along in here are pieces that are still made that she simply painted and added a bow. A lot of us today are doing that now, but this goes back to 1938. So, guess what, pals? It's been done. But let's do it again, and let's do it our way. Get yourself a copy of Warman's. Another one that's really great is Judith Miller's Costume Jewelry, and I do believe this is the latest edition here. It's hardback, great piece. Some folks I know have contributed pieces for this book. You're going to see some awesome, awesome things. Look at this. This is a Stanley Hagler that he made. Stanley Hagler made this for Wallace Simpson. And it's just a Russian gold-plated cuff with beading on it. So it's great. You need to get a copy of this and look at it. Okay, some honorable mentions real quick. We got to roll through. Bakelite Jewelry Book. If you can get a copy of this and look, this has been out for at least 20 years. There have been ones since, but if you want to see the 5 and dime jewelry at its best, this old Bakelite stuff that's worth tons now was worth not so much back then, and you could get it in a 5 and dime. One last thing I got to show you is this. And I doubt you're going to find one. If you do, grab it and love it to pieces. This is Elsa Schiaparelli's autobiography, Shocking Life. I found my copy for 10 cents at a library sale. So check your library sales. You may find some amazing, shocking things. This is a fabulous piece. I love Elsa Schiaparelli's work. I've had a lot of pieces of it in my professional life and never kept any. Boo-hoo. I wish I had. But anyway, fabulously inspiring woman. Read about her. And that's pretty much all I can tell you today. Get the books, examine them, read them, and be edified by them, and learn.